We are back. The Premier League review for the last time of this season. Welcome to all you wonderful people for getting this party started. Guys, it's been a great season. It's been a great year. Get into the comments your thoughts on the season, your thoughts on the last day of the Premier League. We're going to be talking Declan Rice, Mason Mount, Manchester United, a little look on Arsenal, and also the battle for relegation today. It's been a good day so far. Lots of things done, lots of things achieved. Manchester United, we did a little video on Mason Mount, what he'd bring to the side. Over on this channel, if you want to take a look on just Mason Mount, definitely go and dive into that. But today we're also going to consider Declan Rice joining Manchester United, how he could fit in, how he could evolve United with Mount in the side as well. Welcome everyone to the stream so far. Welcome to Baz in the chat already. Again, get all your thoughts in here. Was Marcus Rashford's goal against Chelsea last night a career-defining goal for him? And Manchester United's overall performances. Maybe that's where we start today's show before we dive into a little bit of tactical transfer chat. Shout out to a fellow nerd in the chat as well. How did Ten Hag not get nominated for manager of the season is beyond. Yeah, look, will Erik Ten Hag continue to do a good job and nobody will notice and United will slowly get better. I was at the game yesterday in the TRA having a great time singing some songs such as Casemiro, Casemiro, and that's probably the first place to start. Casemiro's performance against Chelsea was one of the best of the season for me. Not only his goal, but the pass that led to the second goal, but overall, the amount of tackles that he was flying in and just destroying people was absolutely brilliant. Won 5 out of his 10 tackles in the game, 100% of his dribbles, 2 shots on goal, 1 chance created. I thought it was a brilliant performance from him. And the way that he just anchored the midfield and completely shut Chelsea down was simply brilliant. So, no, Casemiro, what a performance against Chelsea. I thought Chelsea started quite well in the match. They missed some pretty big opportunities. Conor Gallagher missing a big chance in the first half. Same with Kai Havertz. And that's kind of been Chelsea's story of their entire season. They are so misfiring in front of goal, and that's a big part of what they need to do next season under Maurizio Pochettino is kind of change that mentality. Because quite frankly, they've been awful back end of the season. And when we look at, the sacking of Graham Potter, was it even worth it? And I don't think it was. There's been no real change in Chelsea's form and how they're playing. And at times we saw under Graham Potter some good stuff. We have seen nothing really under Frank Lampard, to be quite honest. Beaten home and away in Europe, but also in the Premier League. It's just been pretty poor. And I think for Chelsea, they need to really start to build their squad out, but also get rid of a load of their players that are just kind of not really there. Someone like Hakim Ziyech, Aubameyang in there, Christian Pulisic. You're looking in that midfield line as well. Just there's too many players there. Chelsea really need to start making good decisions. They were absolutely thumped by Man United yesterday, who racked up an expected goals of 5.21, which is the most in history in the Premier League. United could have won 4, 5, 6-0. And one of the things that we kept on saying in the game was Harry Kane would have scored that. Harry Kane would have scored that, and Harry Kane would have scored that. And I think that's the side of Manchester United when they get this striker, this summer that's definitely going to happen. It's going to change a lot of things. I really believe that. As much as Anthony Martial, scored, he had a lot of opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net, to link the play at the right time. And that's kind of the frustration with Martial, is that he's got the potential to be a very, very good striker, but he's still not showing it. He's not showing that ability to link, that ability to make the right decision, to finish, and so forth. So, a concern in there for Manchester United in the long run. Anthony being injured as well is a bit of a concern for the final, the FA Cup final, because United really dropped off for the, after Anthony got injured. What was he injured on? 29 minutes. There's a bit of a drop off from United in terms of intensity and creativity. Jumping in the chat, shout out to JP Jane, shout out to Jonas as well. We've got Sport Gang over from Iran, shout out to him. Grace in the chat, could a 4-3-1-2 work for Manchester United? We'll take a look at that when we talk Rice, when we talk Mason Mount. I think that's a really good question, which we'll dive into. as well. Samam 6 in the chat. Do you see the news of Chelsea potentially signing Ugart? Him and Enzo would form a formidable midfield under Poch. He looks like a good player. I tell you what, I really enjoyed watching Enzo Fernandez yesterday. He is so good at football. What it reminded me of is when Paul Scholes used to control the midfield at Manchester United. You know, I'm talking probably 10 years ago now, but he reminded me of Paul Scholes, which is a humongous compliment. One of Chelsea's better players, 119 touches of the football, 94 passes completed, a 92% completion rate, one big chance created, 2 chances created overall, won 4 of his 5 tackles. You know, this guy is absolutely brilliant. And Chelsea, building forward, they've got one of the best ball-playing central midfielders in the world for 7 years, which is kind of, big for him. I think the other player that deserves a bit of credit, Lewis Hall, I thought was really good at fullback. Someone I watched play for Chelsea's under-18s against Nottingham Forest last season impressed me massively. At 18, the way that he was comfortable in possession, 2 of his tackles won, 3 chances created, 2 big chances created, 6 out of 6 of his dribbles completed. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. So 2 players for Chelsea for next season for them to build around. Enzo Fernandez and Lewis Hall at fullback would be the 2 for me in there. Ross, he was Scholes-like, loves a switch of play. I think his ability to find that long pass was really good. Completed 6 out of his 8 long passes. Receiving in that central area, switching out wide, very much, definitely, Ross. I absolutely agree with that there. For that, Enzo's the only signing they basically got right. Yep, maybe they spent a bit too much money on Enzo, but I do think he's top quality. You and Dave, I'm 7 points behind on Fantasy 606 qualifying league. 2 free transfers. Ewan, we've got to chat about that. We will chat about fantasy football. You gotta win it. You gotta do it, mate. You've got to do it. I've got some ideas. We'll go through my ideas as the stream goes through. We got Rag in the chat. Dave, do you think Victor Gyökeres from the Championship would make an astute buy as a backup striker? I'll have to take a little bit more of a look at him. From my understandings of his abilities and his qualities, he's deceptively good with the ball at his feet. Quite a tall striker, so you expect him to be a lumbering target man. But he's quite a dynamic forward in the sense of, he will take you on, he will dribble at you. Scored twice in this game against QPR. 2 shots, 2 goals, 3 out of his 6 dribbles completed, 4 chances created. Could be a good option for Manchester United. The side is that in terms of the backup option, probably would prefer a younger player, to be quite honest. But I don't think it'd be a bad shout. Really don't. Charlie in the chat. Hall was really good. Remember he's a central midfielder. I think so. When he played for the under-18s, when the game I went to, he started at left wing back. Then he moved into central midfield. I think he's just a player of great quality. Ross, would you take Felix at United? Yes, I would take Hugo Felix at United. Joao's brother. That's a joke. That's a little gag for the football fans out there. I laughed at it myself, but it was pretty bad. But no, I think for Chelsea, Joao Felix is such a good player. I've seen Joao Felix a number of times live, and every time I've been impressed. I've seen him for Atletico twice, once against City. Oh, so I've seen him 4 times. So once against Man United's under-18s. Or under-19s in the UEFA Youth League. I've seen him once for Atletico versus Man City. I've seen him once for Atletico versus United, and then he scored yesterday. He is a brilliant footballer. And when he gets it right, when he gets the right team, the right system, he is going to be, again, 20-goal seasons, 30-goal seasons for me. I think he's one of the best young players in the world, and that's the big thing. 23, guys, is still young. We can't write players off at 23, but love watching him play. I'd recommend if you can get down and watch Joao Felix play. It's just, he's just one of those players. He's one of those Ronaldinho-esque players, the Kakas of the world, that you just need to watch him live to really get an idea of how he plays on the pitch. It's a great, it's just, he's a fun player. Really fun player, and I hope that it works out for him under Maurizio Pochettino, or he moves elsewhere. Manchester United, if they're looking for a number 10, he would be arguably perfect for Erik Ten Hag's system, but that's probably not going to happen in there. Jumping back into the chat, Chris is saying low end of the table. My team, Fulham, are interested in, for example, in Gyökeres. Yeah, I think it's... I think Man United need that star. They need that star power through the middle. A Lautaro, Harry Kane, a Victor Osimhen, a Muani. They need someone that's going to instantly come in and bag goals, because that has been their problem. Again, just the stats from last night. 4 goals scored from an XG of 5.21. 5.21 is massive, absolutely massive from an expected goals perspective in there. One final thing on yesterday's game. Just want to say Jadon Sancho is massively impressing me at the moment. One of the things I tweeted, Jadon Sancho's performance against Bournemouth was one of his best performances of the season. And I tell you what, I got around 300 quote retweets with people being like, does this guy watch football? Does this guy understand what he's doing? And quite frankly, those people owe me an apology. I'll wait for their apologies to come in on Twitter. Might retweet it today and say, hey, sorry guys, I just spot the form just a slightly little bit ahead of you guys. I thought he was brilliant against Bournemouth. I thought he played very, very well against Bournemouth. The touch was sharp. His vision was good. He created a good number of opportunities. And then you take it to the Chelsea game. Similar ilk. 1 assist, 5 chances created, 3 big chances created, a lovely little not reverse pass, just a pass to Bruno Fernandes in the box as Bruno hit the bar. Like, Jadon is really impressing me at the back end of the season. I am really happy for him that he's back. I generally think he's coming back. And the talent that this kid's got is absolutely ridiculous. We're talking top 3 players in the world. That is the talent. He's not shown that at Manchester United. One of the big things that Manchester United fans need to do is stop getting on his back and support the guy. Same with Anthony. Too many times, you see online, you hear at the game, like people getting frustrated with these two guys. They're 2 young wingers. They need the confidence. They need people to be behind him. And I'll tell you what, Jadon Sancho is going to do that himself. I thought he was absolutely brilliant against Chelsea. Another top performance, starting on the left-hand side. I thought he was very, very good on the left. And then looked really nice on the right as well. That is what you want Jadon Sancho to be, capable of playing both sides, capable of operating in different positions. The fluidity Man United need to build in the long term is both wingers being able to play both sides, being able to change in-game, as well as rotating with the striker and the number 10. Jadon Sancho has that quality. He really does. And I'm just happy. I'm happy that we're seeing a real quality there. 5 chances created in the Premier League and 3 big chances created is pretty sensational in there. And, it's just something that the support needs to be there, and there's change in him. There is a change in Jadon Sancho. It's body language. It's receiving the right way. He looks like Borussia Dortmund Jadon Sancho. And it's taken a bit of time. Don't get me wrong, it's taken a bit of time. But again, as we mentioned previously, Joao Felix, 23 years old. Jadon Sancho, 23 years old. Got to keep going back to this because people keep forgetting this. People were questioning Marcus Rashford's ability on the football pitch literally last year. The man has just gone on to have his best ever season in the Premier League in terms of goal scoring. 30 goals in all competitions for Marcus Rashford. 30 goals. First time that's happened since Robin van Persie. Rashford is flying, and that is the big thing. Marcus Rashford, 25 years old. Jadon Sancho's got another 2 years of development before he gets to this point. Which is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Back into the chat, Charlie. Sancho was good on the right wing. He did well when Wan-Bissaka made himself available. Sancho's a pass and move type of player. Absolutely. He is a playmaker, Jadon Sancho, in there. Wasn't Sancho a second striker at Dortmund? Great. So basically, he's played wide left, wide right. But the best football you'd probably say at Borussia Dortmund was when he played in a 3-4-3. So as one of the attacking midfielders behind the striker. And he'd give that real freedom to drift left, drift right. And he'd combine with the wing back behind him. And that was such a key part of his game. And that's where I feel like United haven't really got that right yet. Is having that fullback that's as attacking as a Hakimi or a Rafa Guerreiro. But, massive talent, this lad. Massive talent. And again, it's getting behind, getting behind him and allowing him to evolve. Hass in the chat, Sancho's always been best on the right, performing best as Dortmund when he played as a right winger. So he had great seasons on both, to be quite honest. This last season at Dortmund was more left-sided than right-sided. 8 goals and 11 assists. The season before was more left-sided again, 17 goals, 16 assists. But I think this 18-19 season, more right-sided, 12 goals and 14 assists. This kid is capable of doing both. And that is great. That is a real good thing in there. A fellow nerd, not just 30 goals and 11 assists, directly involved in 41 goals this season for Marcus Rashford. Ben in the chat, thoughts on Goncalo Ramos from Benfica? I think he needs a few more seasons at Benfica. If I was his agent, I'd be getting him at Benfica for a few more years. I think he's developing really, really well, but there's still an inconsistency to him. 18 goals in 29 games this season. In the Portuguese league, but we could see lately his form has not been too great. In the last 7 games, 1 goal, but then you look at before that, he's absolutely flying in the league, and I think that inconsistency is what Man United do not need right now. United need that striker that's going to score. I think Ramos is going to be a top forward in Europe, and if United bought him, I think would be a great player to mould and to grow. Do United need Harry Kane right now? Do they need someone like that? I'd say yes. I'd say Harry Kane would make United a title challenger instantly with a goalkeeper, with a centre-back, with a DM. There's a lot of work to be done. But, when it comes to Ramos, he does lead the line supremely well. He's a very, very technical, quality footballer. The one thing I'd say maybe doesn't get involved in the play enough, which I think is vital for United and what they want to do, is having a striker that is a 9.5 type player in there, like a classic Robin van Persie, you'd say. Thoughts on Rabiot for free? Absolutely wouldn't go near him with a barge pole. Waste of money. The talent, we've been through it a few times. He's just not the player United need, in my opinion. I think it would be a waste of money. The wages that you're going to have to pay this guy, who again is at 28 years old, a player that should be in his prime as a footballer, still really isn't doing it from a consistent perspective. And again, those oranges, the yellows, the oranges, the yellows, at 28 years old, you are judging a player completely differently than you are judging a 23-year-old Jadon Sancho or a 25-year-old Marcus Rashford. Adrien Rabiot is in the peak of his career. His peak is inconsistent. Juve lost 4-1 to Empoli. And he played the entire game. The levels of Adrien Rabiot are just not there. And I think it would be an absolute waste of wages to sign him. But they're my thoughts. Look, guys, you may have different thoughts, but you just really shouldn't be losing 4-1 to Empoli. Question a lot of the players there. In there. Lusander, no to Harry Kane, too expensive. We need midfielders that can score. I kind of agree with that. I like that idea as well. Dave, has anyone got cold on David? Honestly, think he'll be a perfect striker for Arsenal. Jonathan David's quality. Always will be quality. Top class footballer. He's having one of the best seasons of his life in front of goal. He's someone that would you take at United in a heartbeat. He's a top quality footballer that has kind of come alive this season. 22 goals and 4 assists in 35 games. Capable of playing second striker, wide right, wide left. Would be great for Arsenal. Be really, really good for Arsenal. In there. But yeah, let's kind of move on to the kind of topic that was popping around yesterday. That's Manchester United interested in both Mason Mount and Declan Rice. We'll also lead this to talking about our 4-4-2 diamond as well with Erik ten Hag. But I think the first thing that we're looking at with Manchester United, kind of, should they be buying both of those two players? I think one of the interesting things when you look at Manchester United and their squad, there is a bit of a hole in midfield when you're thinking that Sabitza's on loan. Fred and McTominay are part of the kind of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. Donny van der Beek has been injured for the season. Eriksen was signed on a free transfer. So there is a massive kind of hole in United's midfield. You'd say in terms of players that could get in the Man City team, you'd say Casemiro, you'd say Bruno Fernandes would be good competition for City. The rest of them probably not. So there needs to be an upgrade there. And when you look at the Premier League and the players that have excelled in recent years in that central midfield zone, there isn't any better than Declan Rice. There really isn't. And his level of performances have been absolutely outstanding lately. Absolutely outstanding. And again, can he do it against Manchester United? Absolutely. In the game, won two out of his tackles, 4 interceptions, 7 out of his 9 duels, 4 out of his 5 dribbles completed. Like, the guy can play at this level. I've seen Declan Rice play United a number of times. Every time, I have been impressed. A little bit like Joao Felix, that type of vibe. He provides such a quality engine in the centre of the park. You know, at the start with obviously Casemiro, you know, being at Man United and being at a great level when he gets himself into form and confidence. I think for the short term, you could easily partner them both in midfield. And that would instantly give you such a great sort of defensive midfield line with protection on the back line. And that is kind of where United need to be in a sense. Like, the build-up's still a bit off at times with United. Having someone that's so comfortable in possession, is a playmaker, that can switch the play, that can get on the ball. Like, it's a great signing. And that's independent of Casemiro. It really is. And when you do look at what he's achieved and what he might achieve this season, you know, he's in a Conference League final, could captain West Ham for a first piece of European silverware for, 10, 15, 20 years. The quality he's got there, he's in the top 1% of players in Europe's top 5 leagues for ball recoveries. He makes 9.33 ball recoveries per game. That's something that United need to improve on. It's winning the ball back when they've lost it. And having someone of Rice's quality in that area to not only go and win it in those high areas, but also win it in the low areas, to then allow United to break is massively important. He's in the top 2% of players in central midfield, Europe's top 5 leagues for switches of play. You know, we said it before. Something Paul Scholes did at United was switch the play a lot. That's why I like Enzo Fernandez. Declan Rice has got that. Got that down to an absolute T. Switches the play 1.67 times per 90. You're looking at his percentage of dribblers tackled. He's at 62%, top 5% of players. He's just, everything when you look at him from a profile perspective is absolutely bang on. He's massively improved going forward and getting into the penalty area this season. His goal against Leeds United, where they attacked down the right-hand side, ball came into the box. I think they loaded with 3 players at the near post, and Rice was just there to side foot the ball home. You know, this player has great quality, constantly improving, constantly getting better, and could play this 8 role for United. And then in the long term would eventually replace Casemiro. And that's a level there. The price is massive. The price, 100 million euros is 100 million pounds is a lot of money. If United want to jump to that point quickly, they need to spend 350 million. They need to spend 100 million on striker, 100 million on a DM. They need to buy another 8. They need to buy a centre back and a goalkeeper. That's the only way they close it. They close the gap if they buy the quality in there and they spend that cash. The long-term plan, how I would be approaching this, would be signing the players of quality, young players around European football and growing to be competitive in 3 years' time. That would be my strategy. But when you have Declan Rice on the market, Declan Rice is on the market. And it's good. But I suppose it's being smart with the other deals as well. I think there is definite options out there that could do this role for Manchester United in there. But it's just looking at Declan Rice's quality, I think, first and foremost. And, you know, that's a big reason why, you know, Arsenal, Liverpool want to sign Declan Rice because of how good he is. He's a top quality player. You know, he's up there for me with the best sort of 6s, 8s in the league with Caicedo. You know, Caicedo is brilliant. Caicedo's another one that'd have an absolute heartbeat in there. But I think the interesting side with United as well, you know, they're not just getting linked with Declan Rice. They're being linked heavily in the press with Mason Mount. Mason Mount, obviously a player that Erik ten Hag knows from his days at Vitesse Arnhem. Signing both of them would be quite interesting. You know, long term, you could definitely see a midfield of kind of Bruno Fernandes, Declan Rice and Mason Mount. You know, that's a top quality midfield. That's got great quality. I love the relationship between Mason Mount and Declan Rice. On and off the pitch, great friends. I think that's a very, very positive thing for a dressing room. Having two lads that look after each other, that care about each other, that play in central midfield together, that understand each other's games. They've been playing together, when they were kids, they played together at Chelsea for loads of years. I like that. They played together for England. I like that understanding. So it's two signings that come in that already know each other's games. I quite like that idea. The flip side is what do United do? Because if they buy Declan Rice and Mason Mount, they aren't getting a number 9. I don't know if that is a humongous problem in a sense of, obviously next season, Casemiro comes back in. He's the holding midfielder. Rice plays as the 8. And then you've got Mason Mount that could potentially play left. Rashford goes to striker. Bruno number 10. Or alternatively, you've got, Bruno on the right. Anthony left. Mason Mount is 10. It gives options. And I think the interesting side at the moment with United, these options aren't really there. But Mount, Rice would give United a real good level of squad depth, both English as well, which is obviously important for the Premier League, squad registration, which is also important for the Champions League squad registration. I just like both of the signings. I think when you think about, like, would I be, like, jealous if Arsenal bought them both? Yes. Or if Liverpool bought them both? Yes. So I like the idea. The cash side of it is crazy. Look, I think there's other players out there you could buy to facilitate these roles. Spoke about Kang-in Lee this week. Great little footballer. Love his ability to carry and to add real pace into an attack. But it's the change in attitude, isn't it? Are they just going to keep committing and completely sign these players that are ready for now, or they're going to go for the long-term approach? Lavia would be a long-term approach. In there, Kang-in would be a long-term approach signing. Branko van der Boomen from Toulouse would be a long-term signing that could really build into being a top quality player at this level. There is enough players in there, the likes of Højlund, Evan Ferguson. That's the long-term. Kim Min-jae, short-term, but would be a brilliant signing. So it would work, Declan Rice and Mason Mount in Man United's team and squad, and the squad would be improved. Would I do it for 150 million this summer? Maybe not. If I was trying to convince Mason Mount to join, I'd be trying to get him on a free transfer next summer. That would be the best sort of move for Manchester United. Jadon Sancho playing for another season, Anthony for another season, and then if Mason Mount wants to join next summer, then that would make sense in there. Grace Manu Kone, that's a great selection as well. Would be brilliant for United. Great box-to-box player. If Mount comes in, it seems like Ten Hag is shifting from his possession-based style at Ajax, set up more similar to Oli. I don't see Mount, Casa, and Bruno holding the ball. You see, the flip side to that is that Mason Mount is actually really good at retaining possession as well. When he played central midfield, one of the games that we spoke about in yesterday's video was against Spurs in January 2021. This game here, where he basically played in central midfield, three-man midfield. And again, I think this is Mason Mount's best position. Matt Zala, three-man midfield. So United could change to have more of a 3-8 concept as well, which I don't think would be an issue of Mason Mount and Rice, or Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes, and then going back to having the new 9. Like, that's a great setup. That's a really, really good, strong team. This is where United probably should be going for this idea as well of having the 2 3-8s. Mason Mount was absolutely brilliant against Spurs in this match. 90% pass accuracy, 4 chances created. So I'd argue Mason Mount in a system, a proper system, is really good at maintaining possession. Very, very good at moving in between the lines. Really, really good receiver of the football. Good first touch. And then he links quite quickly with the width, with the players near him. So he's actually a player that I think would evolve United's possession game. United have struggled this season in terms of holding possession. I think Mount's actually probably quite good at that idea. Very disappointing as a Liverpool fan if Mount chose United, such a Klopp-type player. Yeah, I think it'd be great for Klopp. Mount is more of the Van der Beek replacement. Yep, absolutely. Haas is saying United should go for Kim Min-jae, Caicedo, Lavia, Kane, and Thuram for free. to look a little bit more realistic. Kim and Jae would be about 40, Caicedo would be about 80, and then Kane would be 100, so that's 220. It's quite a lot of cash. Kokchu, a lot of people talking about him in the chat. I think he's a very good player, but he's so direct. That would be my concern about him. He's too direct for a top level remaining possession side. I think he'd be really good for Liverpool. I don't think he'd be good for City, and I don't think he'd be good for United. Similar with the Darwin Nunez type vibe. Not good for United, not good for City. Eventually will be a success at Liverpool. I'd be very happy with Szoboszlai, same, or Dani Olmo. Both of them have been really good back end of the season for Leipzig. Both have started to really kick back on, as with Leipzig. They've had a real good end to the season. Beat Bayern Munich last week. Some brilliant performances from Szoboszlai and Kunku in there. And obviously Conrad Leimer doing a job against his future employers, leaving it to Borussia Dortmund, who could potentially win the title tomorrow, which would be absolutely brilliant. I'm only saying that because I'm bitter that Bayern Munich sacked my pal Julian Nagelsmann. All right? I'm being honest with you. That upset me, Bayern Munich. And I like you, Bayern Munich. I like what you do. But you hurt me. All right? You got rid of Mr. kind of hipster manager 101 and you sacked him. Upset him. Rashid, Darwin is crap. Darwin is a good player. Darwin will be a good player in the Premier League. Sport Gang, Mount plus Rice and Tyremi or Taram for this season. Tyremi would be an interesting one. Real good playmaking striker. Puts the ball in the back of net well. Would work really well. Sam, how about Tielemans, Rabiot on freeze? I don't want Rabiot at all. Tielemans, I think he's good. Do I think he's where central midfielders currently are at the moment? No, I don't think he's dynamic as a Caicedo. I don't think he's as dynamic as a Declan Rice. I don't think he's as dynamic as, let's say, a Manu Kone. I do think he's a good player, though. Don't get me wrong. But I think his game needs to step. So wherever he goes next, I think there needs to be a real growth in his football again. I think he's a good player right now, and he's a really good Premier League player. Will do a job for a lot of teams, but I think he needs to take that next step in his career. Do you know what I'm kind of aiming for there? I think he needs to, become that real decent playmaker that runs the show. I think we haven't seen enough this season, especially not good enough. But just the last little thing on the title race in the Bundesliga. Bayern currently 2 points behind Borussia Dortmund going into the last weekend of fixtures. Borussia Dortmund facing Mainz at home. And of course, Bayern Munich away in Cologne. Borussia Dortmund recently have been absolutely superb in terms of getting their results. Beat Gladbach 5-2 with a brilliant performance in central midfield from Jude Bellingham. Could be his last display for Borussia Dortmund this weekend. But there are reports that he might miss it with injury. But, not to massively expect that. Could probably play. Harvey Szoboszlai's going Newcastle. That'll be a good signing in there. Should we go after Xavi Simons from PSV? I actually spoke to Michael van Gerwing, the darts player, on Wednesday for some Shoot with the Peter Crouch podcast. And he said that he probably needs a few more years at PSV to then reach that potential. I think this season, Xavi Simons is kind of showing his potential. But to leave that right now, I think would be a little bit of a mistake. 17 goals, 8 assists in there. Brilliant game against Ajax. Goal and assist, 1 penalty, 3 chances created, 2 big chances created. The kid has got the potential, to really become a top level footballer. But I would just say stay at PSV. 20 years old, there is time to develop there. Thoughts on Gabri Veiga? Gabri Veiga slowed down a little bit in terms of goals. Still think he's a great player. I think he'd be a great addition for Liverpool in there. Aidan in the chat. Dave, don't United need someone in midfield who controls and connects defence and midfield? I think that Mason Mount addition would allow Bruno to be that guy. So I think Bruno is ultimately going to be this 8. I really do. I think his skill set is really perfect for it. Low to high attacker, great at arriving late in the box, dictates the play from deep, will roam high. I generally think this long-term Bruno's the guy in that position. I just think he's got the quality to do that. I do think United do need to strengthen in that area for sure. Really do. Buying a player that could facilitate that role is important. I think Eriksen's been really good for United, but not only would I like to see him higher at the pitch than this DM role, but he always makes like 60, 70 minutes and he has to get subbed off. So it is it is somewhere that needs to be kind of looked at and grown and improved in that element and that side. So, there is a lot of work to be done for Manchester United, but they did confirm the Champions League next season at the expense of Liverpool. So that was confirmed yesterday, looking at the standings in the Premier League with one game to play. Manchester United third in the table, 2 points ahead of Newcastle United, but of course a whopping 6 points ahead of Liverpool with one game in hand, game, set, match. United needed to win 3 games out of the last 4 to make the Champions League. They beat Wolves in a interesting game, a frustrating game in a sense of like creating loads of chances, not taking them. 3.2 expected goals to them beating Bournemouth away from home in quite a tight affair, again defending quite well, and then finally opening up the scoring against Chelsea. I think this is a big game for United's confidence for the back end of the season, and I feel like that's like what United, they really needed to win this game. They needed goals. They needed to win the game. They needed to fly through. People in the chat are talking about Gift Orban. So I had a little look at Gift Orban this week. Looks like an absolute talent. And again, United need a young striker and an old striker. And I would absolutely go to Genk and offer them some cash. This kid, in the last sort of his season in Norway and in Belgium, scored like 36 goals. He is just flying at the moment. And he's got a lot of quality. Played mainly in a two-man strike pairing in Belgium and in Norway would be the only slight concern, but he does link the play well. And that is something that I always look for my number 9s. I think there's loads of 9s that can score goals. I like 9s that can link the play. Look at his heat map there, dropping off the line, getting into midfield, and getting on the ball. It's something that he does well. And he's number 20. On the heat map. So there is times where both the strikers rotate and there's a lot of fluidity in there, but it's great quality. And he also missed 2 big chances in this game, so he could have scored 5 goals. Right now, great story. Big talent. Would be a real good option for United. Buying a young striker in Gift Orban and then signing a Harry Kane. And I think Gift Orban would be the cheaper option out of a Højlund and an Evan Ferguson. So for me, would be a great sign in there. We're going around the world today, guys. We've done the Belgium League, German League, the Premier League, all that good stuff. So in terms of what we got to deal with, last game of the season, obviously Brighton and their Europa League quest is secured as well. First time they've ever had European football, which is amazing. Aston Villa, Tottenham and Brentford could all still get into the Conference League. Currently it's Aston Villa sat in that position. But the big sort of battles is for staying up. Obviously with Nottingham Forest's win last weekend against Arsenal that gave Man City the lead, meant that Forest are staying up. So it is between Leicester, Leeds and Everton. 2 of the 3 teams going down. We are losing some classic Premier League sides. We really are. And it's going to be interesting. It really is. Everton have the advantage, currently sitting outside the relegation zone. They face Bournemouth at home, a Bournemouth side that has lost 3 games in a row, and you potentially could say they've got the flip-flops on. Everton, I think everything in terms of the good stuff has come with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and his fitness is going to be absolutely massive for this match. You're looking at he limped off with a hamstring injury, but it was it hamstring or groin injury? In terms of the latest update for that, so it's still, there hasn't really been any information that's come out of it from Everton. So I believe he's got to be there for them to do it, in a sense of they need his goals. Everton have only got 2 players with 10 goal involvements in the Premier League this season, and that of course is Dwight McNeil and Alex Iwobi. Dwight McNeil's got 7 goals and 3 assists. Was brilliant against Brighton and Hove Albion. Superb performance. 2 goals and an assist. 3 chances created. Was really good at carrying as well. 5 out of 5 his dribbles. He's going to be vitally important for Everton if they don't have that number 9. And it is a worry. It could be a historic relegation. Everton have been in the top flight of English football since the 1954-55 season. They're only one of 6 teams who've never been relegated since the Premier League was founded, with Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United and Tottenham. But it is in their own hands. They have got enough quality in their team and the management is there to win this game. Everton have earned 18 points at home this season. Only Leicester and Southampton have earned fewer points at home. Bournemouth have got 17 points away and have won 5 games away from home in there. Only 1 fewer than they've won at home in there. So it's a big one. It's about controlling the tempo. It's about controlling the likes of Atara, Solanke, thought was good against United, linked the play really well. Got to be super aggressive. I think it's going to be a set piece. I think it could be a 1-0 win for Everton, guys. Get your score predictions in the chat right now for the massive game in the Premier League, Everton versus Bournemouth for relegation. NW4 is saying Kane and Hoyland for the summer. Lavia for Casemiro understudy from Josh. Lavia would qualify as a youth player from Al Mac in there. Charlie saying we're overlooking Onana. I like Onana. I just don't think he's worth the money that they paid for him. They bought him for 50 million quid. 50 million pounds. I think he's a good player. Do I think he's unique enough for 50 million quid? Absolutely not. And the reports are Everton are going to try and sell him in the summer. He's obviously got talent, but it's so much money, so much cash. You look at the talent, 5 out of 5 tackles won, 5 interceptions, 95% pass accuracy against Newcastle United. The talent is there, but for 50 million quid, when they just sold their goal scorer in Richarlison, is so monumentally stupid from a recruitment perspective. That's crazy. Sell the guy that kept you in the Premier League last season and you're buying a central midfielder that's not necessarily a goal scorer. Crazy, crazy vibes. Ndidi will go down at Casemiro's backup. Could be a shout in there. But the other game, the big one in the race to stay up, Leeds United face Tottenham. Leeds United under Big Sam Allardyce will go into this game in a situation where they know that Spurs have got the quality, but Spurs are in horrible form. Leeds need to win the game, and then hopefully the results around them, go their way. They need Leicester to pick up a bit of a worse result, and of course Everton to lose their game. This is big for Leeds United. I was chatting to one of my pals, actually, who's a Leeds United fan, who's got a young lad, and he was basically saying a season in the Championship might be quite good for his lad, because he might actually see Leeds United win a few games of football, which again is quite understanding in there. So it's one of these situations where Leeds could do maybe with a bit of a reset in the Championship, sorting out what they're doing, where they're going, like going from, Bielsa to March to Sam Allardyce in a season is pretty crazy in terms of their recruitment. A little shout out to Harry Kane as well this season. 28 goals in the Premier League. Would have been Premier League goal scorer, I think. Would have only not been Premier League goal scorer, about 6 times with the amount of goals he scored. Haaland has basically broken football, but Harry Kane has been brilliant for a very, very poor Spurs side this season and is in great form going into the back end of the season. Could be a great little fantasy football asset. More on the chat. Andre from Fluminense. We should buy, absolutely. Brilliant footballer. We've done a video on the channel, alternate signings, that United should basically get him as a backup 6. He would be brilliant to kind of get in there. Al Mac as well in the chat saying Enzo Lafay is available for 15 million quid. I'd be buying Enzo Lafay straight away for Manchester United. So I would basically have just spent about £10 buying Andre from Fluminense for 15 million, buying Enzo Lafay for 15 million as well, or whatever it is, 25 million. You bought 2 brilliant central midfielders there. Football's an easy game sometimes. And Harry Kane has found that this season. I kind of expect him to relegate Leeds United on his last game for Tottenham. Got a straw here. It's getting, like, squeezed. Can't seem to get the coffee out. There we go. Highbury's local badger. Belated big up to the Statman. Dave, congratulations to your team, Man United. Thank you. Would love to see you do a Fluminense video. I really need to get it. So Fluminense, I don't know why, but they've become my Brazilian team. And I just love their story. Love where they've been, love what they've been doing. And their manager apparently plays a really interesting style of football. Their manager, who is Fernando Diniz, linked with the Brazil job. But you got the likes of Ganso operating in attacking midfield. But there's Andre. This is the kid that United needs to buy. Brilliant footballer. But yeah, I think we're going to do a video on it. I think we are. It's just going to be great fun. I'm going to have a look on that and get involved with it. But back to the little Premier League relegation chat we were having there. Let's just round that one off. One more game to go. That is Leicester City versus West Ham United at home. I don't understand why Dean Smith rested Vardy and Harvey Barnes against Newcastle. I literally don't get it. The two best players last season, arguably, in the 3-5-2, you play those two guys up front. Instead of going with Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy. Like, if you're going to sit deep, you're going to try and see the game out, you're going to try and play for the draw, at least play James Maddison and Harvey Barnes up front. You probably would have scored goals on the back of it. Like, I think this could relegate Leicester, and this is the game that they should have won. In there, if they'd gone a little bit more offensive. West Ham United, of course, they're warming up for the Conference League final. We mentioned Declan Rice. It could be his last Premier League game in a West Ham shirt. He's going to be absolutely firing. Lucas Paqueta's been in really good form lately. He's starting to kind of show the promise that we all seen at Lyon, roaming around against Leeds United. 106 touches of the football, 1 assist, 3 chances created, 6 out of his 10 dribbles completed, 4 shots in there as well, 4 out of his 5 tackles. This is the guy that I knew from Lyon. I think we're seeing now a top quality footballer that's got that real ability on the ball to make things happen, but also a great understanding of the game. And it's nice to see him flying. So the issue for Leicester is West Ham have hit some form. They've hit some form. They've hit some really good belief. Mikel Antonio's flying. Jarrod Bowen is being back in the goal involvements. Last weekend, the goal and assist against Leeds. Like, this is the worst time to play West Ham. And Leicester City, you've got to win the game and hope results go for them. Get your predictions in, guys. Which teams are going to go down out of Leeds, Leicester and Everton in there? Get into the chat and tell me what you think. Kane's still got 5 years easy at the top. What are your predictions for United's sale? It's just going to take some time, which is frustrating. Ewan, I want Kane, but Watkins, Arland and Wilson look good. Maybe spend elsewhere. I'll show you my plans in a minute of what I'm kind of looking for in my FPL team. And then we'll finish off talking Man United versus Fulham in the league as well. So, all good stuff. What's your opinions on Taylor Booth and Arthur Vermaelen as bargain buys, future 8s? Need to have a little bit more of a look at them, and then I'll give you my opinion. Ask that question next Friday, same time. I will have the answers for you. I'll take a look at them this week. Who was I looking at this week? I was looking at some good players this week. So I looked at Gift Orban this week. I looked at a striker called Marcus Leonardo, who plays for Santos. Who else? We did a lot of strikers this week. It's another striker as well. Can't remember who it was. Some young strikers looking good. Ollie's saying won't go anywhere near Vlahovic. Vlahovic has got great potential. I like Vlahovic, but he's had a bad year. Real bad year. Sanham 6 in the chat, predicting Leicester lose, Leeds draw, Everton win. The bot is saying Everton and Leeds to both win, so Leeds go down. Josh is saying Leeds to stay up. Josh, is that right? Look at Lazaro, plays for Almeria as well. Right, I'll have to have a look at those three players. So Lazaro, and then we've got the 2 central midfielders. Interesting stuff, guys. Oh, it's good to have you in the chat. Leeds, Leicester, go down for Sport Gang. I kind of think that might be the case. Leeds, Leicester go down, to be fair. So let's have a quick gas on fantasy football before Ewan. This section's for you. Get your questions in, my good friend. So picked up 70 points last week. Erling Haaland, triple captain. was a good selection. You look at what he did in the game against Brighton and Hove Albion. He amassed an expected goals of 1.13. He had a 1v1 twice. One of the times he passed it. He had 6 shots, missed 2 big chances. But unfortunately, guys, that is fantasy football sometimes. Makes me want to cry. It really does. Makes me want to cry. And Gundogan playing like 2 minutes in there, like not even Diogo Dalot playing. It's been real tough. Any interest in Florian Wirtz? Florian Wirtz at United would be so good. Like Florian Wirtz over any number 10 would be the one in there. Ewan's got Leicester and Leeds going down as well. NW4E is saying Everton, Leicester relegated. And the local Badger is saying Leicester, Leeds will probably go down. So fantasy this week, what I am thinking right now is going Antonio out, Gundogan out, and Luke Shaw out. So taking a -8. We're going to go big. Trips is going to come in. We're going to bring in Martin Odegaard, and then we are probably going to go with Mitro. That is the three transfers I'm thinking right now. My thinking behind this is I think Newcastle batter Chelsea, and Trips is going to be involved in the goals and the assists. It's a blocking move in a sense. I'm probably going to go Trent, Botman, Trips as my back 3. And then midfield, obviously Odegaard coming in a little bit of a differential right now. I think he plays minutes. Touch wood. Rashford, Mahrez, Salah midfield. And then a front 3 of Wilson, Haaland and Mitro is what I'm thinking right now. I'll jump into the... Let me jump in now, Ewan. Give me 2 secs. Right, so we've got De Gea in goal, Estepinian, Trippier, Stones, Salah, McAllister, Mitoma, Fernandes, Rashford, Haaland, Wilson. So you've got Watkins on the bench, so Watkins definitely comes in. I think you've probably got to get rid of Mitoma and McAllister. I'd suggest if you've got the money, trying to get Odegaard in, if you can. I think that would be a good option for you. And that would work out quite well. Some questions. Kumar saying, any chance Kimmich to United? No, he wants to be buying captain. I think he's very happy in Bavaria. Wirtz has got Ballon d'Or potential, absolutely. Ed, I left Casper on my bench by accident. Sad times. Do you think Van der Boomen would be an upgrade on Eriksen 8? Yes, absolutely. He's a brilliant playmaker who suits that 8 role. Any updates on this early United? Nope. We sang some songs last night, though. If you want to look at some centre-backs, Thomas Arejo on loan from Benfica, tall, young, good passer. Santiago Jimenez, Højlund or Vlahovic. Probably Højlund. Would Kimmich be good at United? Yeah, absolutely. Be fantastic, but I don't think he's there. Why not positive on Rabiot? Thanks from a Juve fan. Remy, I just don't think he's got what United need in terms of his skill set is very odd in a sense of he's very much a box-to-box midfielder in the old sense of, win the ball back, move it on in a reasonably simple way, tackles quite well, carries quite well. I just don't think his skill set is suited to what United need. United need an 8 that's basically an attacking midfielder. United need an 8 that's going to play attacking midfield. I don't think that's Rabiot. Rabiot's not got the quality in the final third to create. Yeah, he scored a few goals over the last 2 seasons, but I just don't think he is the guy. And it's a lot of money. It'll be a lot of wages on Rabiot, even though you're getting a free transfer. You're spending 400 grand a week. For a player of Rabiot's quality, the value is just not there. Why I'm not, on it, basically. And I think when you look at his possession stats, just not good enough. And United need to be getting players that are of great quality. We've got Fred already for that role. So that would be my thoughts. But these are my thoughts in a sense of building a 3-4-3, I think, is going to be the formation back into the season. I'd quite like to get another Newcastle attacker in there. Like a wild card would be getting like a Almiron into midfield, could be quite good. But yeah, it's going to be a big last week for fantasy football. Currently in the title race versus Chris Sutton and Ali Bruce Bull. There is 3 points that separates me to Brucey, and then 4 points that spaces me from Chris Sutton It is a big end of the season here. Massive end of the season. Anyone got any fantasy questions, do get them into the chat right now. Thoughts on what happened to Colwell after his comments yesterday? I haven't seen that, Ed. If you could bring me up to speed. I think I saw something where he was out and has he tweeted something or has he said something? I haven't seen it, unfortunately. Been quite busy today. What do you think happens to Van Nistelrooy, Spurs, possibly? I don't know with Van Nistelrooy. Obviously left because he's apparently falling out with the board. But, doing a good job over there. I thought it'd be good for his development to stay there. So, could do Spain, could do another team in Germany maybe. Opinions on Hannibal Mejbri next season. I'm not sure if Hannibal's right at the right level, to be quite honest. I don't know if he's developed how he should have developed, and I think that's United's fault. You look at Amad Diallo. You look at Hannibal. I think there's a player in Hannibal. There's a player that needed to be coached at a higher level early doors. It really is. But yeah, again, another loan spell, I think, for Hannibal. Let's have a look at what he's finished off. Because at Birmingham City, wasn't he? Again, I don't think Birmingham City is the greatest place for United young players. Just because of their style. Like, United need to send their youngsters to teams that dominate the football. Your team that sits off the ball and counters. You're not getting possession to Mejbri. You're not getting him enough of the football, and that's what he kind of needs. Still 20, though. Again, my own thoughts, you give him another loan spell, but pick a better club that plays football. Even going to Sunderland would be a great shout. Zidane Iqbal's another player that needs that. Kobe Mainoo is another player that needs that. Need these loan spells. Mejbri's got an insane level of talent. He really does, but he needs to realise the talent that he's got, and his aggression and attitude at times is a little bit detrimental to what he wants to do. But talent there, absolutely. And again, 20 years old. So another loan spell. See whether he can pick up a better level than his spell at Birmingham. I think a better team in there to pick. 21 starts, 38 games played over the season, 1 goal and 5 assists. Not too bad. A lot of assists coming from the set pieces, but I think there needs to be some, better choice in terms of which club he goes to for sure. Loan spell for Pellistri as well. Pellistri needs to go. Charlie, I don't think Brighton would need Pellistri. Brighton have got their own, young superstars to play with, and one of the ones that's basically blown up over the last few weeks has been Enciso, who scored some absolute bangers. The City goal, the Chelsea goal, absolutely superb. Racked up himself, 3 goals and 2 assists back end of the season. Lovely little player. So unfortunately, I don't think they need him. Ed Colwell did interview, asked about Chelsea. He said he forgot. He's still aligned with them. He'll see. Commits to his future. He loves Brighton and believes in them. Like, Colwell should go to Brighton. 100%. He's going to play for Brighton, and he's 20 years old. And the biggest thing for him is he needs to play football right now. He's at that part of his career where it will be hit and miss if he doesn't play. Massively hit and miss. Burnley would be a great place for ball-playing players to United to loan to them, absolutely. But then I don't think they would because of Vincent Kompany. Kang In Lee would be a cheap cam option. I think it'd be a great cam option. But, Brighton, Levy Colwell should stay at Brighton, 100%. The issue with Chelsea is that you've got a squad and a team that's all over the place. You're looking at the defence. There is a number of players there. Badiashile, Chalobah, Fofana, Cucurella could play centre-back, Silva, Koulibaly. You're not playing week in, week out, and I think you could do that at Brighton. Interesting comments, though. I'd be annoyed if I was a Chelsea fan, for sure. Right, let's wrap things up. Man United's final game of the season, facing Fulham in the Premier League. I think this is going to be a game where Mitro scores a hat-trick. I think Mitro is going to be... Mitrovic is either going to score a hat-trick or get sent off. I think there's not a middle ground there. Obviously, Mitro got suspended for pushing the referee against Man United in the FA Cup. The last time the two sides met, Marco Silva was sent off as well. William was sent off, and United came back and won the game. I think Fulham are going to remember this game. I think they're going to be very, very up for the game. Saying that, though, Man United's performance against Chelsea, absolutely superb. And if they can build on that like they need to, going into the back end of the season, going to be exciting. I want to see Rashford through the middle as the 9. I want to see Jadon Sancho on the wings. I haven't got any update on Anthony, actually. Has anyone heard anything about Anthony's injury? Again, I only saw it once because I was at the game. How bad was it? So apparently, just looking at the BBC, they've got an article an hour ago. Manchester United fear winger has the same ankle injury as 2022. That is not good. Not good at all. And he was just making the right decisions. Oh, so yeah, serious. That's frustrating. Again, I thought he was just coming into form. Out for 2 months, according to Ben, according to Yams in the chat. Oh, that's frustrating. I thought he was just started getting in there and flying. But I do think, look, okay, same team then, Martial through the middle, bang Jadon Sancho right wing, and roll with that. I think with this, United need to be. I'd love to see youth. I'd love to see Maino. I'd love to see players playing at minutes, but United have got a massive game against Manchester City. United need to build into that. United need to play a full-strength side, in my opinion. And yeah, okay, if United are 3-0 up, 2-0 up, yeah, cool, rotate, bring players in. But I think you got to go. You got to go full jugular this game. Fulham are going to be up for it. It's going to be a really good test. Fulham are an aggressive side, great set pieces. Great target in the box for crosses. They cross early. They press high. They're a really good team. This needs to be United getting sharp. United are starting to get sharp. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it in my fingers. The poor bit of form there. The Villa result, Wolves result, Bournemouth result, the 2 results against Brighton and West Ham United, awful. United versus Chelsea, starting to see some quality. That's what needs to happen. It really does. So I think full strength team. I think United go for the jugular here. In terms of little talking points for this, Marcus Rashford, of course, we mentioned 39 goals plus assists in all competitions. The guy is absolutely flying. He's currently on 17 goals in the Premier League, which I believe is his joint best. Is it? So last season was only 4, obviously injury at campaign. Season before was 11 goals and 9 assists, and I think this season before that was his best ever year, the 19. A season with 17 goals and 7 assists. He's playing great football. It's great to see Marcus Rashford apparently about to sign a new contract. It's going to be fantastic. Other people obviously mentioned Casemiro is finally back in form. Last 2 games, I've been very, very impressed with him. He scored in consecutive games for United for the first time. 6 out of his 7 goals for United have either been the go-ahead goals or the equalisers, scoring important goals. He scored or assisted 13 goals in all competitions for United. Only Bruno Fernandes and Rashford have got more. United's home form this season, they've not lost since the opening day defeat against Brighton. They've won 14 games at home this season. Only City have got more, and United only conceded 9 goals in the Premier League this season, the best defensive record. David Hale want one more clean sheet. United will want to win the game. I am afraid that Mitro is going to score some goals, but it could be an absolute humdinger. Guys, get your score predictions into the chat right now. Alex Reed saying Fulham are tough. I agree with that. That's why I think it's going to be a good game. Got other points in here. Sancho on the right from Aiden. Look better in that position. Have you scouted Kochu? Yes, I had a look at him. Very, very direct. Probably too direct for what United want to achieve with their possessional play and their controlling the tempo. He's basically Bruno Fernandes on steroids in terms of the amount of times that he plays balls over the top. Creates a lot of big opportunities, but he loses a lot of possession. So I don't know if it's quite right. And there's also the things around not wearing a rainbow armband, which I don't believe that's kind of the correct thing to do. So parts of that, as well as it being, the player that's not quite suited for Manchester United, is what I would say. I think there's better players on the market. Van der Boomen, available on a free transfer. Enzo Lefebvre, available for 15 million. There's better players that you could get for cheaper than him. I think it'd be quite expensive as well. Guys, score predictions, get them in. I'm going to go with Manchester United 4, Fulham 3. I think this is going to be a good game of football. A good old game of soccer. Sorry, I'm slightly losing it. Lovely stuff. Right, we've got no more score predictions, then we'll have to call it a day, guys. Ed saying Man United, Fulham draw. I think both teams will rest players, treat it like a pre-season game. Ollie saying Casemiro will have to be managed properly next season. His legs went for a couple of months when he was playing 2 games a week. Yeah, not really good point there, Ollie. Ed's going to go 2-2. Ben's going to go Manchester United 2, Fulham 1. Alex Reed's going to go for a 0-0 draw. I think there'll be goals. I think Mitro scores. That's what I believe anyway. Fourth from a fantasy football perspective. But yeah, guys, GG's in the chat today. Thanks everyone stopping by for the Premier League preview streams this season. We will be back next Friday for the FA Cup final preview. Then we'll do a Champions League final preview. And then I'm going on holiday. Okay? I'm not coming back. No, I'm coming back. Absolutely. N10, Manchester United 3, Fulham 1. A Matta's going to go 2-1 Fulham, considering United are resting players. Jose is going 3-1 United. And Tiwari is going to go 3-0 United as well. But guys, GG's, thanks for stopping around. Smash that like button. We're nearly on 100 likes. Let's get to 100 likes. We're on 94 right now. Let's get those 3 figures. And we'll be back next Friday for the FA Cup.